Welcome to the 2024 VEX Robotics World Championship. My name is Grant Cox, and I'm the chairman of the VEX Robotics Game Design Committee. I'm here with Tyler McCrary, the VEX World Championship Master of Ceremonies.
Hi, everyone. Grant and I are here in Dallas, and we can't wait for you to join us in just a few short days. We want to make sure that you are prepared to get the most out of your VEX Worlds experience. First, we'll cover some general information you'll need to know. We're going to talk about team check-in, robot inspection, the robot skills challenge, and the agenda. The first thing I want to make sure everyone knows about is the VEX Worlds website at vexworlds.com. The site includes everything you need to know to navigate VEX Worlds, including the VEX Worlds agenda, division assignments, and match schedules. Teams should also install the VEX Via app so they can check match results and rankings as they're happening.
Of course, while you're at the VEX Worlds website, check out the agenda for all of the ceremonies that are going to be happening in the Dome. The opening ceremonies always have amazing lights and music, and of course, the Parade of Nations. The closing ceremonies are where we'll play the overall finals, give away the top awards, and unveil next season's game. No one ever wants to miss that.
Also be sure to swing by the pits to check out all of the team's decorations. This year, each team's pit will be 8 foot by 8 foot, and due to Fire Marshal code, neither floating balloons or fog machines are allowed. Nothing can extend outside of your pit area, and for safety reasons, the pipe and drape cannot be removed. Search pit areas at vexworlds.com for more information. The pit signs are yours to keep after the event, though, and they'll look great in your practice area back home.
Just like last year, the first steps of team check-in will happen online. In the weeks leading up to the in-person event, a check-in button should appear on the coach's dashboard on robotevents.com. You'll start your check-in process there.
Then, once you're in Dallas, your coach should visit the check-in desk in Hall B at the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center between 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. on the day before your event starts. That's where they'll get the registration materials for your team. That means VRC High School should do an in-person check-in on April 24th. VRC Middle School, JROTC, and VEX-U should check in person on April 27th, and all VEX IQ teams should do in-person check-in on April 30th. All teams must be fully checked in by 11 a.m. on the first day of their event.
You'll be able to bring your robot and other materials in after 8 a.m. on the first day of your competition, when the venue opens, but you won't be able to access your pit when you check in the day before.
So Grant, jumping ahead a bit, let's talk about the day of the overall finals and the closing ceremony. It's a tight schedule. What do these teams need to know?
You're right, it's a very, very tight schedule this year, so we're asking all teams to pack and remove all items from your pit areas before the closing ceremonies begin. If you can't take them back to the hotel or your vehicle, there will be plenty of space in Hall B for equipment storage during the finals, and staff will be monitoring that area. Getting the pits emptied before heading to the Dome will allow other staff members to start getting the pits ready for the next competition.
Due to heightened security measures, each team will be required to wear a bright yellow VEX Worlds wristband at all times to access the pits, divisions, skills, and arena. These will be included in the registration packet you'll get at in-person check-in. Each team will also receive one free parking pass to the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center, Lot E.
Next, let's talk about volunteering at the VEX Robotics World Championship. Event volunteers are the heart and soul of the REC Foundation events, and we literally couldn't run this event without y'all. While you're at the VEX Robotics World Championship, please consider volunteering. Many of the volunteer positions don't actually require technical skills or any experience at all. Volunteering puts you up close and personal with the action going on in your division, and there are tons of roles available. Check out the volunteer section of the VEX Worlds website, or email volunteer@recf.org with any questions.
So where should people go if they're at Worlds and someone gets lost, doesn't know where to go, can't figure out what to do, or has questions about where to find something? Where can they go for help?
Help is always found at Pit Admin. Pit Admin's your one-stop shop to get any answers of any kind. It's also the central location for lost and found items.
Sounds good. Now, what can you tell us about the competition and rules?
All teams should keep in mind two of the most important rules in any robotics competition, G1 and G2. Treat everyone with respect, and remember, this is a student-centered program. Students should be doing the work, and even in the heat of a competitive moment, everyone should remember to be respectful to one another.
So if a team member has a question about a ruling the head referee makes, what should they do?
Per Rule T3, Drive Team members may appeal any ruling while they're still in the Alliance station. But teams must remember that once the head referee has made their final decision, it is final, according to Rule T1.
So can a coach, adult, or a mentor approach a head referee and dispute a ruling?
Nope. Only team members can. Remember, like I said, this is a student-centered program. Students must be the ones advocating for themselves. On a related note, code of conduct issues are a concern every year, but we really want to stress that this year, these issues need to be raised and addressed in your divisions. The game manual makes it clear that students need to be the ones advocating for themselves, and issues should be brought up in the divisions by those students, not the adults. This year, students, we are talking to you. If you have a code of conduct concern, please bring them up to your head referee and division manager directly before leaving your division. Also, remember that it is the students who should be discussing and creating your in-match strategies. If you find that adults are influencing these discussions, again, let your head referee and division manager know. This also goes for the adults as well. If the students themselves are agreeing on a strategy, it is not the role of the adults to interfere or report any perceived violations. Again, student-centered competition in all aspects of the competition.
So, how can teams make sure that scores entered are accurate?
Also a good question. After the match has been scored, scorekeeper referees will show all teams the score, including the outcomes of the autonomous period. Teams must agree and confirm the score before it can become final. So, there should be no need to ever question whether a score was entered correctly, because it's all been done at the field with all team members actively participating in the whole process.
So, where should teams go for robot inspection this year? And is there anything they need to do beforehand?
So we will be doing the self-inspection process again this year. We encourage all teams to go to the RECF library, download the inspection sheet, complete it ahead of time, and bring it with you to inspection. These can be found in the description below or by searching for inspection process at vexworlds.com. If you don't have access to a printer or forget to bring your inspection sheet, we will have more inspection sheets available for pickup right at teams' divisions. Inspection sheets must be completed and signed by both a coach and a team member before getting in line. One thing that's new this year is that inspections will be taking place in the divisions. So our head referees and our inspectors will check selected items before approving your robot to get on practice fields and compete in your matches. Inspection will be closing at 12 p.m. on the first day of your event, so be sure to finish the in-person check-in the day before to ensure you have enough time.
So, can teams do anything to make this inspection process a little faster?
Yep. VexWorlds is going to be utilizing the Smart Field Control System that will not allow a team to play if they're using the wrong firmware. All brains, motors, controllers, etc. need to be updated to VexOS 1.1.3 or higher, or you won't be able to play your matches. Your robot brain also needs to be named with your team number and letter, with no spaces and no extra characters. If you're not sure how to do this, the April 2nd game manual update includes a link that will explain more. Teams should also make sure that all of their robot components are legal for competition. VRC robots can't use functional 3D printed parts, 5-inch flex wheels, non-standard pneumatic tubing, anti-slip matting. You know the drill. Also, double check that your robot can't expand beyond 36 inches in any direction during the match.
Speaking of smart field control, will teams need to switch to Bluetooth mode this year for skills?
Yep, just like last year, all Robot Skills Challenge matches will be required to use the Bluetooth radio mode on your radio and controller, not VexNet. VexNet mode is required for competition match play only. To learn how to switch between the two modes, again, head over to the REC library. Under VRC, select Competitions, then Tournaments to find the Smart Field Control Guide for teams.
Is there anything new to know about skills?
Actually, there is. Students must have a robot to enter the skills queuing area, and doors will close at a posted time each day, usually 15 to 30 minutes before the scheduled end of skills. So to participate in skills, students must be in line with their robot and inside the doors before the doors close. There will be no exceptions.
What else should these teams know this year?
Rule T6 says teams should come to the field ready to play. So if you use pneumatics, you must have your system charged before placing the robot on the field. This can be done in the queuing area or next to the field, and as always, can't be over 100 psi. Also, all robot transport systems, carts, wagons, dollies, etc., must stay in the queuing area. They are not allowed next to the field.
How will the competition be structured this year?
The competition will be basically the same as last year, but each team will have one practice match and one qualification match on the first day of competition. There are going to be 10 high school divisions, 6 middle school, 2 for VexU, and 2 for JROTC. Division champions will play against each other in a standard eliminations bracket for their respective programs for the overall finals. This means that middle school and high school will have play-in matches for the lower seeded divisions, and the higher seeded divisions will be getting a bye. For VexU and JROTC, since there's only 2 divisions, those champions will go straight into the World Finals.
Okay, that makes sense. But typically seeds are determined by qualification ranks. How are you going to rank the divisions in this bracket?
So it's actually pretty simple. Divisions will be ranked based on who achieves the highest average score over the course of the qualification matches. Obviously, the object of the game from match to match is to get a higher score than your opponent, so it follows that each division should be trying to get a higher score than the other divisions to try and seed highest in the division rankings.
All right, so we have a list of questions that were pre-submitted by teams who are ready to push this game to its limit. Are you ready for this?
Of course I am.
All right.
This is my favorite part of every driver's meeting, so let's get into it.
Okay. How is intentional or unintentional tipping ruled?
I take back what I said about this being my favorite part of the driver's meeting. I'm just kidding. I'm not actually going to answer that one because we have actually already answered it several times in the official Q&As. I will tell you that something new we did in the April 2nd game manual update that should help you out. We went back through all of the season's Q&As and picked out the ones that are most likely to affect gameplay and referee calls at Worlds. The links to these Q&As are now included in the game manual as of the April 2nd update, especially those referring to tipping. So I still recommend that you read through all of them, but if you at least know the ones that are listed and linked in the manual, that's way better than nothing.
For robots built to fit inside of the goal, can license plates be mounted on top of the robot, on 2 sides but laying flat, for example, both facing the ceiling, and pass inspection still?
No. So Rule R9 does say that license plates must be on at least 2 opposing sides. So 2 plates flat on top of the robot won't pass inspection.
How are you guys going to rule possession?
It's pretty simple. Your robot can only possess 1 tri-ball at a time. That includes tri-balls inside the robot, on top of the robot, any that are being controlled by concave parts of the robot, etc. If you're just pushing a pile of tri-balls with a flat side of the robot, that's not possession. The April 2nd game manual update includes links to some of the related Q&As on this topic, so again, check those out.
Will touching the middle bar while the other team is descoring your tri-balls result in a DQ?
So that's not exactly how Rule SG8 works. If your opponent's breaking the plane of your goal and you stop double zoning, it's now their responsibility to get out of your goal. If they descore any tri-balls in the process, it could lead to a DQ if the head referees decide that descoring changed the outcome of the match. So it all just comes down to the final scores and whether or not the violation was match affecting.
All right, Grant. Is it legal to drive your alliance partner's robot?
No, but points for creativity, I guess. During a match, you can only operate your own team's robot. Hopefully that should be obvious.
Because the matches are streamed, will referees be allowed to look at official footage to help with rule calls?
No. Referees are never allowed to review photos or videos of matches when determining scores or rulings, even at Vex Worlds. So please, just don't ask.
How will the match loads for skills and matches be stored?
So head-to-head divisions will have plastic U-line mail sorting totes, much like a lot of signature events had. Skills will have bags. All of these containers will be on the floor.
Is it legal to match load whilst in the possession of a tri-ball?
So this one is covered in Q&A 1778, but a lot of teams submitted this question, so we'll go ahead and answer it again. If the match-loaded tri-ball is only possessed momentarily, for example, if it's immediately launched across the field, then it doesn't count towards possession. That being said, Q&A 1778 also makes it clear that you have to wait for that match load to be launched before breaking the plane of the field perimeter with your next one. 1 match load over the wall at a time, and you have to wait until the first one has left the robot before adding the next. Again, please read through all of the Q&As linked for SG7, though.
What will be the penalties for illegal match loads and skills?
In skills matches, you'll get a verbal warning for the first SG6 violation, and then any additional SG6 violations during that same run will result in a score of 0 points for that match.
Since we're talking about skills, sometimes the skills lines at Worlds get very long. Can we leave a teammate or coach to hold our place in line while we play a match?
No. If your robot ever leaves the skills line, you'll be giving up your spot in that line.
If our team wins our division and makes it to the Vex Dome finals, do we have to walk back and forth to our pit on the other side of the building?
First off, congratulations that you've made it to the Dome. Second, division champions will be escorted by their division managers to the Dome. We will have a set of finals pits that are separated by division. This area should be very similar to the pits you had in the convention hall. It'll have a table, chairs, and a place to charge.
All right, Grant, let's wrap things up with a couple VexU questions. The VexU match loading Q&As created a lot of judgment calls for referees in situations where match loads were introduced in very specific positions and orientations. Can you simplify this for refs and teams?
First off, you're right. Match loading for VexU is subject to some judgment calls. The best way to be 100% safe with match loading is to avoid risking these judgment calls and avoid risking them not going your way. The main way to do this is to make sure your hand and your robot aren't inside of the match load zone at the same time. This pretty much guarantees that the ref won't have to make any judgment calls for you.
Okay, next VexU question. While we're introducing match loads, are we allowed to adjust the position of tri-balls that are already in the match load zone?
So the rules don't directly cover this one, but for consistency, I'm going to use the guidance from Rule SG3. When tri-balls leave the field and get reintroduced, Clause C of Rule SG3 says that incidental contact with other tri-balls that are already in the match load zone may occur, although referees will make a concerted effort not to do so. VexU match loads generally should work the same way. We're not going to penalize you if you accidentally bump another tri-ball, but you should try not to.
Well, Grant, that's about all the time we have for questions.
All right. As always, this was a lot of fun. I hope it was just as informative for the teams out there as it was for us. Tyler, this game is shaping up to be one of the craziest games we've ever had, so I'm really looking forward to this event.
I am so excited to see this game played in the Dome, Grant. Thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to say hello to Grant and me when you see us at the 2024 Vex Robotics World Championship. See you there.